Thank you for joining For Our Special Kids, where we openly and honestly discuss the magic and the mess of raising a child with special needs. We are thrilled to have you here and hope this time provides you with some wonder and wisdom. I'm your host, Jennifer Lansing. Let's get started. Hello, For Our Special Kids community. One of the things I try to do with this podcast is give you a little woo-woo and a little science, which in the end hopefully provides you with some tangible tools to use with your kiddos. So I hope you're finding value in these episodes, even if it's just a little laughter to lighten your day. I'm also trying to create more of a community here. So I have an ask of you. 1, will you tell 3 people about For Our Special Kids? I know you know other parents or caregivers, therapists, teachers. I know you know people that might benefit from a new perspective. So perhaps you'll share us to them soon. I'm going to start posing questions on our Facebook and Instagram pages. I want to know what you want to know about. I'm also going to give you an opportunity to ask questions of upcoming speakers. So we have 3 authors coming on the show soon, and I'd like to know what questions you have for them. So go online, if you will, and see who's coming up soon so you can send in your questions. Finally, I'll be sending out a newsletter this week with a free download to a meditation that hopefully will help you live a little lighter. If you haven't signed up for the newsletter, please go to our website, www.forOurSpecialKids.com, and click newsletter. All right, on today's episode, we are introduced to Human Design. It is a very complex, science-y system that can tell you so much about your child and truthfully about yourself. Kaydee gave me about 25 new ways to use Human Design, specifically to Teal. I have already, as a result of chatting with her, changed how I interact with Teal. So thank you, Kaydee. That's it. I hope you enjoy. And as always, let me know what you think. Well, I am super excited to be joined today by Kaydee Desjarlais. She was a special education teacher for the past 9 years and was an elementary and preschool teacher for many years prior to that. In 2021, she stopped teaching to open The Remedy, where she mentors children, teens, and families. Kaydee uses a lot of different tools in her work. These include human design, gene keys, tapping, energy medicine, and many others. She's here to talk with us today about the Human Design Bodygraph. Her interests focus on finding different connections and correlations within human design biocharts of unique and special kids. She's currently looking at children with speech delays, dyslexia, autism, ADHD, and many of those other common labels. Kaydee, we are thrilled you've joined us today.
Thanks for having me.
We're thrilled. So let's begin with what is human design and who developed it and how?
I call human design a magical mixture of really, really old sciences and really, really new modern sciences. Yeah, it's a mixture of like the Chinese I Ching and astrology, those kind of ancient sciences, and then mixed in with things like quantum physics and chemistry, biology, and your genetics and things like that. So it's kind of a synthesis of all those together. And it gives you this amazing map that's called a body graph that kind of gives you permission to be yourself. It tells you about how you're designed to be and how your energy works in the world and with other people. And it just gives you a really ton of useful information that helps you align with who you are meant to be and how you can best shine.
Yeah.
So, and it was invented. It wasn't invented, I guess. It came to a fella. His name was Robert Kowalski or some weird name like that, but he went by Ra Uru Hu. And in 1987, he had this he called it like a mystical experience with a voice. And it kind of got downloaded to him and he drew a picture of the body graph. And then it was a pretty long 9-day drug out story.
So it sounds like it was a channeled message.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just has it continued to grow since then, or was it all downloaded to him?
It's based off of the Chinese I Ching, and that's like 3,000-ish years old. That was kind of the basis of it. And then the synthesis of all the others together combined is what he came up with. So what was given to him, I guess. for sure.
Okay. Yeah. When you wrote me and said the human design system is a beautiful blend of Eastern and Western astrology, the Chinese I Ching, Kabbalah, the Hindu chakra system, quantum physics, biology, and genetics. And you say in here, all you need is your birth date, your birth time, and your birth location. And out pops the human design body graph. So,
Yes.
what is a human design body graph? And I know it's a little tricky to describe. I actually might put a picture of it up on the website so people can see it.
Yeah.
But what is it, and like what is it telling you?
Okay, so it gives you a lot of useful information. So it has these weird triangles and squares and shapes, and then you'll see a whole bunch of numbers in just random spots, and you'll see some circles and triangles and boxes and decimals. So it's best to just look at it, and if you're drawn to it, I would try to find somebody to explain it to you, like get a reading by somebody, and then learn it as you grow from there. But it tells you like each of the shapes are a center, and it's kind of based off of your chakra systems. For example, the one on top would be your crown chakra, and that is your head center. And that's your center where your inspirations and ideas come in. And each of these shapes or centers is going to either be colored in or white. And if it's colored in, you're somebody who has a more consistent way of taking in energy in that area. If it's white, then it's open, and you're going to take in that energy from people around you and then amplify it.
When you look at this chart, I'm looking at my chart and I'm looking at Teal's chart. So the really cool thing is Kaydee reached out to me as a result of the podcast and said, I'm doing this research. I want to find out, are there any common traits or common things that that these children with special needs or special amazing children have? And so it was an amazing opportunity for me to be like, yeah, let's learn about this together. So I am honored that you reached out, and I get to look at both of our charts, and man, they are so different. It's almost like I'm outside of three centers. I'm like the exact opposite of her.
Yeah, it's so cool. And you guys mix so well together too, because there's so many similarities in you, and that's why you connect so well together in certain areas. And then your opposites are like super attractive to each other. So for example, one thing I always hear you say is like you telepathically communicate with each other. And Teal's head is defined, really defined. All her centers are there, and she has two channels coming from her head to her ajna center. And her ajna center is also super defined. So she has a lot of knowingness and strength in her mind and ajna area, and you're open in both areas, and you only have one gate combined in the two centers. So her thoughts and what she's thinking and understanding or knowing and wanting to tell you, you are so open to receive it. So you're taking in her thoughts, and that amplification, then you amplify what she's thinking, so you can totally understand what she's saying, and you get her. You just it's like the sender and receiver type thing of you catch her messages, she sends them to you.
Yeah.
So,
I talk about those being little energy packets. So,
yes.
and that's really cool because you're right. We are almost the exact opposite. It's very interesting. She's sending two, and I'm only open in one. And I don't know what any of that means.
Yeah. It's super confusing, but if you just hear the information from somebody, it makes so much sense, and it's so helpful.
Right. So you said the Anja area. That's the kind of associated with the sixth and fifth chakra, or sixth
It's
chakra?
kind of like your third eye.
Third eye.
So it would be like where you take those thoughts and inspirations that come from your crown and figure out what you're going to do with them. Like, what am I going to use? Am I going to use these? Are they mine? Do I need them? Should I get rid of them? Should I share them? Those type
Should
of
I
things.
share them? Okay. Fascinating.
One thing about that ajna is that it's thinking, right? It's the most important thing you need to remember about that is we should never ever make decisions with our head like that. And that's part of human design too. So that's what's called authority. So understanding what your personal authority is how you should make decisions. And like you can see the brown triangle on on you, and the right hand side, if you're looking at, that's called your emotional solar plexus. And you see Teal's is white, so hers is not defined. So those are, you guys have two different ways to make decisions, so you don't do it the same. So you are emotional, so that means you have waves you're supposed to ride, and so your emotions come over time, you get clarity over time. Teal's white, so she's very empathic with emotions, and her decision, what is she, sacral? Yeah, her decisions are sacral authority, so she's instant, and they're based off of, you can watch her like If you see her get super excited about something or super like, ooh, resistant to something, that's her sacral response. And she's like, yeah, I want to do that. Or, I don't want to do that. So that's how she's designed to make decisions.
That's so interesting that you bring this up, because we were in Target the other day and this woman walked up and Teal looked at her and just looked away. Now, Teal does not do that to many people. She is, like you said, she's very open, or we've talked about this. I mean, she's just happy and amazing, but she quickly made that decision of, this is not a good person for me to engage with. And I felt it too, but instead of just saying, okay, thanks so much, and walking away, I, of course, was like, oh, yeah, she's just maybe a little tired right now. Or I made an excuse for it. But in the end, she was just reading. I'm assuming that's what you're saying, is her
100%.
sacred response was like, boom, no, this is not a
Mm-hmm.
person I want to engage with.
Exactly. And that's where it's so amazing to know, because it's so hard for kids in this world, because we teach them one thing, one way. This is how you live. This is how you access your energy. You're supposed to be super active. We have some kids that can only have energy for like 3 to 5 hours a day, and they're expected to do everything all these other energetic kids do. And then, like in school, you're supposed to sit there for 8 hours in a desk. And if you are a super energetic kid, how can you do that? So
Right.
understanding these differences and how each person and each kid is designed, you can take that into school with them and be like, this is my kid's learning style. He's like a receptive learner, or he's a focused learner. You can show them that, and then show them how their energy blueprint is, so they can see, okay, I need to make sure this kid can stand up while we're learning, or he doesn't need to take notes, because that's, if you take notes and you're a right-brained unfocused learner, you're not going to pay attention or retain anything. You just sit back and listen to the teacher. That's all you have to do. Like, that's me. School was so weird for me. I did not ever read a book. I did not study my textbooks, and I just listened when I wanted to. And then the stuff I'll be honest, the stuff I didn't care about, I just cheated.
Yeah.
Because it didn't matter. Like, for real, I didn't. Because it was so irrelevant. And like, why do I need to know about this? And I've always known, like, this isn't something important for me, so I'm going to focus on this stuff.
Right.
And that's how we should let our kids, let them kind of lead with what they know, so we can help get them to where they want to be or need to be instead.
Right. And that's one thing that you said early on in an email that you sent me, was we are trying to make children fit into the perception of typical, right? Or what we believe, we being the greater good, right, of the
Right.
school
Yeah.
system, let's say. We're trying to make each child fit into this one pattern, this one behavior. And from what you're telling me, I mean, you even said there's 12 different profiles, which I don't even know what a profile is, but like, and 9 different centers, and then different decision-making authorities and all of that stuff. How are we ever, or why are we taking one way of teaching and expecting every child to handle it the same way? I mean, what a beautiful thing to be able to go in and show this chart to a teacher. So let's make this tangible. So, and just because we're looking at Teal's chart here, so what type of a learner is Teal? Can you tell me that from looking at her chart?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You and her are both the same, actually. You're both right. So you're both right-brained thinkers. So you're receptive. And I'm not saying if you're receptive, you should never take notes or write anything down, because if that works for you and you just you probably don't write down word for word notes. You'll just like jot down dots as reminders, or like scribble something in the corner of a paper, whatever you need to do. Or
and I very rarely go back and look at them.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
But you're planting it in your brain, basically. You're putting it there by writing it down.
Right.
So that's how you get your knowing. So yeah, you'll probably never go back and study those, but you're both that way. So you just listen and look around, and you're like flies on the wall, basically. That's how you take in that information. And then that's the same for you guys. Are both the same type of eaters too. So going along with food, like there's so many different ways kids can eat. Like, you're both what's called closed taste. So you eat what you like. You have like a certain group of foods that stick with you, and they're probably hopefully different, because they shouldn't be the same. But like, for example, you may have like 5 foods you've eaten your whole life that you stick with, and they just kind of cycle in, and then you kind of eat with the seasons, and that's okay. And you're not eating at the same time every day. But other kids, they have to eat at the same time every day. Some kids have to eat and learn and do their work in like dim lighted areas, and some need colder temperatures. There's so many things that are different.
You can tell all of this from looking at the chart.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And it's like the way I like to help other people understand, to think about like an analogy to make sense, is like when you do a puzzle, if you have a 500 puzzle piece and every puzzle is the same, are you ever going to make a full puzzle? Are you ever going to get it done? Is it ever going to be one? So it's never going to. So we need to raise our kids as unique puzzle pieces so our world can come together as one and be complete. But we're never going to do that if we're raising them as one puzzle piece.
right. If we were all the same puzzle pieces, we would never connect with one another.
Exactly.
So that's funny that you said Teal and I eat somewhat the same way. It is so true in terms of how, like, some mornings I wake up and I'm hungry and I eat. Some mornings I don't eat until noon. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, I haven't had any
Yeah.
food. And Teal will do the same thing. Like, she all of a sudden will just be like, I'm not
Mhm.
hungry. And I'm
And
like, okay. I
yeah,
don't
and
force
she's
it
in
on her.
school and she only gets to eat at what, 11:15, and if you don't eat at 11:15 and you're not hungry, you're starving at 2 when you're really hungry. Like,
Right.
yeah.
How would I tell a school this? Like, so let's go to the receptive type of learner. One thing that we've heard from Teal or about Teal is that she doesn't focus enough. Like, oh, she just
She
doesn't
should
like.
never focus. Teal should never focus.
So
If
tell me
she
why.
focuses, she will not learn. Like, you do not pull in the information focusing. It's like if you expect her to stare at you and focus in on what you're talking about, she's just going to zone out and be in her own trance. She's not going to hear a word you're saying, but she's being a good little girl and staring you in the eyes, right? So
Uh-huh.
yeah, so that's so not beneficial to her. So, well, if she's having a conversation with somebody and she's looking over at the mirror on the wall or something, she's hearing everything you're saying, but she's also noticing some other things that are going on and just pulling that in too. She's very receptive. So
Oh
yeah,
my
and
God.
it's
So fascinating. No, because that's literally every time we meet with her IEP crew, they're
yes.
always like, well, she's just not focusing. I mean, we can't
Mhm.
keep her focused on anything. And yet, if her dad and I are in the front seat of the car talking about something, I don't even think Teal is listening. She's looking out the window, she's looking at her feet, she's doing whatever. All of a sudden, I'll say, like, oh, hey, Alex, where is that? Da, 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 and she'll point.
Mhm.
And I'll
100%.
say, like, how was she even listening? Oh, this is so
Yes.
cool. Oh, I love this. Okay, so now I
Mhm.
can tell the teachers to lay off on the
Yes,
focus.
exactly. And that was so hard. As a teacher too, I have a lot of knowing and feeling. So I knew this stuff like about the kids. And I didn't know human design then. So I didn't know, like, I'm a generator. So I'm supposed to respond to situations. So I would blurt things out to them and they'd look at me like I'm a freak. Like, what are you talking about? Where did you come up with this? That is so not true. Or they'd see, like, you're not a licensed psychologist, so you don't have this knowledge or something like that. And I just get shut down, shut down, shut down. And they would never see this. So then they just wouldn't get this information for these kids and it could change them. These kids don't need to get kicked out of school because they have problems throwing chairs because of their anger. It's they have anger for a reason. You need to understand why.
Right.
But knowing human design and knowing me as a generator who needed to respond and was ignored, if I would have waited for them to ask me and then I would give them this information, they would have looked at it like, oh my gosh, that is genius. Thank you for sharing.
Right.
Mhm.
And there are kids that just blurt things out. So I'm looking, Teal's a
Mhm.
pure generator,
Mhm.
and I'm an emotional manifesting generator.
Mhm.
Okay, what does
Yes.
that mean?
So those are your types. So there's the 5 different types: generator, manifestor, reflectors, and projectors. So there's those types. And what Teal is a generator. You're the manifesting generator. That just means that you guys both have that red box colored in the sacral energy. So you have consistent access to pure life force energy. And you, as a manifesting generator, have some initiating properties built in with you. So you can start certain things, you can get things going. And then Teal, as a generator, she doesn't usually initiate things. She needs to wait for something to respond to, which is what you do most of the time too. You wait for something to respond to, but at times you have initiating powers or
Yeah.
abilities, I guess.
So what are the other three again? And how would
Um,
that manifest? Like, how would a parent see
yeah.
that in their child?
Okay, so the projectors are the guides, basically. They're here to guide people. So they're going to help lead the way and the way showers. And then the manifestors are just the initiators. They're how most people are raised, as to just go out and do things, just get started. And they're only like 9% of the population. So The rest of us are the mixture of generators and manifesting generators make up about 70% of the population. And we're rarely supposed to initiate, like manifesting generators can at times, but we're here to respond and do the work. We're the busy, we're the bees of the world, the builders, the doers. Projectors are the leaders, the manifestors are the get-goers, get things started, let's make it happen. And then the reflectors are what are like the calibrators. They're here to show us how we're doing. So like, and they're really rare. I guess I forgot to say the projectors are about 22% of the population. And then 2% of the population are reflectors. And they're the mirrors of the world. They show us how we're doing. Like, are we on the right path? Or they reflect how we are behaving back to us, basically.
And would that be beneficial for a teacher to know or not really?
Yes, because each type is so different.
Yes. I love
that. Yeah, like if you have a projector child, they're usually they don't have the energy as the manifesting generators and generators have. So they need breaks. They need to rest. They probably, some of them might not like PE activities because it wears them out, and generators and manifesting generators need to be busy. Like a manifesting generator should usually be doing 3 to 5 things at a time just to move this energy that you have, because you're so, and it's not like energy to run a marathon or something. It's just like, I have to be doing something, or you're going to get fidgety and you're going to get like energy trapped in your shoulders or your neck or something. And you're just going to like, what am I going to do? So imagine being a kid with heightened energy sitting in school, and you are expected to sit in this desk and not do anything. And if you stand up, you're being a rebel or something,
Right. And so that would be something to say, listen, I have a child that is a manifesting generator or a generator. I need a standing desk, or I need them to, when they're counting, to walk around the room and count their steps, not just count. And I think that's one thing that is really important. At least as we're in this school season right now, and we're going to start doing IEPs again and all of that with these school systems, is not just saying, hey, my child needs to move around, but coming in and being able to show people this and then say, here's some ideas, not just you figure it out school system, but like to say, okay, I mean, I even said to the school, I said, Teal's not a lover of math right now. She just doesn't love it. And we're going to have to get creative about how we introduce math to her. I said, whether it's making it into an art project and counting all of the things that she glued or things like that. And so I do try to come up with different ideas, not just this is how you need to fix it. And I think that's an important thing to remember as a parent. We know our kids best. I love how this can apply immediately to children and the school systems. What are you seeing? You said you're looking at whether it's dyslexia or ADHD or all of that. Are you seeing common traits in the designs?
Yes, definitely. So especially for the autism and ADHD and like bipolar, those kind of ones, and ODD. And yeah, impulsivity, I see it easily, those ones. I haven't really dug deep into the bigger ones like, cerebral palsy or any of that kind of stuff. And I've done a little bit of like schizophrenia and things like that looking into too. But I can have reasonings and ways to work through I can find something for all of them. And it's so simple. And you just like stop being so stuck in these ways of the systems and the way you were conditioned to believe. Like, why do you believe what you believe? Where do your thoughts come from? Like, yes, you were raised, my loving, awesome mom and dad taught me this, and my grandma and great grandma, they have these best hearts in the world and I love them dearly, and they told me this, so it must be true. Or my teacher who went to college for X years and she's so smart told me this, so it's correct. Or my doctor. But sometimes you have to ask yourself and just go within and be, is this true to me? Why do I believe this? Why am I saying that? And push those systems, because as teachers, you have, even if you are a teacher open to doing this for these kids, you have rules, you have regulations, and the systems you have to follow from the school board and from this person and this person. So we have to push these systems to be more open to and receptive to these ideas, because the world is evolving. We are not stuck in 1970 anymore. So our children are not being born into 1970. So they need to have a school system that works for the generation now.
And it would be important to have someone like you read the chart, but then almost with okay, I want you to read this chart so I have tangible things to go and talk to the school system about. So if someone were to get a reading, whether it's from you, which they can reach out to you, correct, and get a reading?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll put all that
Yes.
information in the show notes. If we were to look at Teal's chart specifically, are there like four main areas that we should focus on for schooling?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, that all
Okay.
this stuff in the chart, it's all helpful and useful and wonderful to know. But if you know just your basic, like your type, your strategy, your authority, your centers, where your definition is, and just those basic things, you're awesome. And you can follow your strategy and trust your authority. That's you living your life and listening to yourself. And that will
Okay.
show you so much.
So type, definition, you said?
Um,
No,
in
strategy.
your centers, yeah, the type and strategy are
Okay.
super important. That's your energy type, and your strategy is different ways of approaching things.
It says Teal is a responder and I'm a responder or respond. That makes sense because you said we're generators, but can you make that tangible?
Each type would have a different one, so you guys need to respond to things. So like, for example, if she's hungry, you can ask her questions, like, instead of just say, here, eat this, she's not might not want it, but you can give her choices. Say, do you want this chicken? And she'll like, no. Do you want this apple? And she'll like, yeah. Or it's best to respond as a generator or a manifesting generator by saying or instead of yes or no, because that's like a natural sacral response. And then for bigger decisions in life, you need to respond to, depending on your authority, that's how you'll make those decisions. So yeah, it's super intertwined in a way, I suppose, but knowing each of these little pieces together.
You'd be able to tell someone, okay, this means that this child is probably going to prefer this type of style or this type of interaction.
Our authority is where we make decisions.
Right.
That's
Okay.
where they get their answers from, because it's never in our head, where we're trained to think, like, think about this first. Like, what were you thinking? That's never how we make decisions. Our
No.
authority is where we make decisions.
Okay. And
And
I'm
we each have
emotional.
difference. You're
And
emotional.
and
Yep.
I'm emotional, which is
So you ride a couple, you have a wave that you ride. So that's what I'm
wow.
saying. Nobody is designed to be the same person. And it's so hard for these kids to be stuck and labeled as the same person.
Right.
And if you're a different person, you have a diagnosis or a problem or a sickness or a disease
Right.
or
Yeah.
disability or whatever, just because you're different.
And
Because
you equated it to a fingerprint. I mean,
Mhm.
every single one of us has a unique fingerprint. So why I mean, there you
Yeah,
go.
are all unique 10 fingerprints, right? None of them are the same.
Yeah, that's a
So
good point. Each of us has 10 unique ones. Oh, goodness
oh, yes, you
me.
have all 10. Yes.
Well, you also wrote, and I adore this, human design offers a way for parents, teachers, caregivers, and anyone who works with our kids, a tool to assist in raising our kids to be the best version of themselves. We can raise them to shine and share their uniqueness and special gifts with the world instead of dulling their sparks. And I do see that when in our school systems that we are kind of dulling that spark.
Oh, big time. Oh my
And
gosh.
and this isn't a and our school system here in Tahoe is amazing. So I don't want people, if any of my neighbors listen to this, I'm not, our school system is great, but it is, like you said, everyone in a school system has to follow certain parameters. And so I love that. So thank you for sharing that with me. What questions do you have for me based on Teal's chart? Like, is there anything that I can kind of confirm for you or like give you examples? Because I think that also makes it more real for everyone so that when they do get their chart read, they can be like, yes,
Yeah.
look at that. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Makes
There's
sense.
so many other things too. For like, one thing I wanted to see, asked you before, was about your guys' G centers. They're so opposite as well. And that's the triangle in the middle. So people who have an open G center sometimes feel lost. Like, I don't belong here. I don't have my people. I don't fit in anywhere. I just don't belong, you know? And then if you have it defined, you really know who you are and you're strong. And you're supposed to be that both ways. So you are meant to sample little bits of everything in life. Like, you're probably going to change your career many times. You're going to change your styles. You're going to change your music and food and everything you like. And when you're with different people, you're going to be like that person. And that's not what people call two-faced, you know? You're
Mm-hmm.
not two-faced. You're a sampler. You like
Okay.
a taste of everything. And Teal is like, she knows what she wants. She doesn't need to try everything. She's just so I was wondering how you feel when you're with her. Do you notice that definition? Like, you feel more solid in who you are when you're with her?
Yeah. I wouldn't have been able to articulate that, Katie. I feel more grounded when I'm with my daughter. Like,
embodied, sort of.
Yeah, absolutely. More within myself.
Yeah.
And it is true, like how you explained me, especially growing up. So I don't know if you see a shift in that as someone gets older, but I I definitely floundered. I was like, I never really had a group that I fit into in high school or
Mm-hmm.
anywhere really. I
Yeah.
just floated. I was like here with this group and wanted to be with that group and would go over there, but I never like had two best friends that were like everything to me and I still talk to them. Like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
And that's been something that I've really struggled with my whole life of why don't I have the 15 best friends that everyone else has from high school? I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't.
Yep.
But now
You're
what
not.
you're saying is, well, that makes sense because I
Yeah.
like to float around
Yes.
and be
Because
that way.
you have like they're all still your friends. You're just not close. But like I say to some people is you have a couch in 50 different states to sleep on because you know so many people and you've met so many people. And
Right.
yeah.
That is very true.
Yes.
And it's quite comforting actually.
Yeah. And
um
the other part is with Teal, the triangle on the left, you are open in your spleen and she's defined in your spleen. So you are like what's called a medical empath. So you, if she's hurting, you can feel where she's hurting and find that. And then you with that, her with, she's the defined spleen. So she also makes you feel safe when you're with her with
mhm.
that defined spleen, kind of like you're where you're supposed to be. So it's really,
Yeah, it's very true. I've talked about this quite a bit. I'm writing a book that says my 5-year-old, well, she's now 6, but she's smarter than me. Like she truly is. She teaches me things all the time. And that kind of makes sense
mm-hmm.
that she's
Yeah.
like, here, mama, you're good.
Yeah, she's
Fo-
your, she
Follow
keeps
me.
that spleen. Yeah, because your spleen kind of gives you these fears and things sometimes is your
Hmm.
fear center. So hers is defined. So it's like, okay, it's okay. I got this. I can handle this,
Yeah.
kind of.
And she is that way, very chill, very go with the flow. So if a child had an opens, like for me, so this doesn't change as we get older. So like my spleen doesn't all of a sudden get defined.
Yes and no. So it
Oh.
depends on who you're with. So when you're with her, that's how your spleen is strong because you are connecting with her energy, with her aura. So your gates connect with each other, and that will define your spleen. That's why you feel safe when you're near her. And that goes with whoever you're with. So certain people might make you feel the same way Teal does in a way, is like super strong and knowing who you are, or super safe and trusting and like, because you may be worried that you're not going to take care of Teal well enough. That might be one of your fears in your spleen because I see you have the gate 50 here. So I might not be able to provide for her the way she needs provided for. And when you're with certain people, that might make you feel safer or stronger in that. Like, I got this. I know what she needs. I can take care of her just like that.
And so if I
So
were with someone that also had an open spleen, I wouldn't feel that safety. Is that
well,
kind of what you're saying?
it would depend again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If it
Sorry.
depends on if your other gates connect, because if
Okay.
so you have like that gate 18 in your spleen, and so I have 58, say, and if you're with me they would connect, and so your spleen would be defined and you'd feel a lot stronger in your knowingness basically, and your instinct and your intuition, because it's all, yeah.
So it'd be good to even find a teacher. Like if you were looking at human design for a teacher that you were considering taking a class from, excuse me, where were you born? What time were you born? I need to pull your human design biograph. But it would be cool to even, I mean, my gosh, I would love to do like a workshop for teachers. I mean,
Oh my gosh.
all of like the school, like just even if you just wanted to focus on the special education crew and just say, okay, guys, we want to show you your designs and we want to show you with, because we got permission from the parents, oh my gosh, Kaydee,
Yes.
wouldn't that be so
Yes.
cool?
Just to open that little spark in their minds too when you're stuck, like this kid is being naughty because it's not this way, he's not being this way. And if you have this knowledge in your mind that, oh, it might be because of this, then you can react with them different, or teach to them different. That's what differentiated teaching is supposed to be anyway. So
Right. So it almost gives you science to give you more
yes.
confidence for differentiated teaching.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh, I'm getting
And parenting.
yeah, and
You have 5
parenting.
kids. None of like, what are the chances those kids are going to be saying? Not very likely. I mean, they're going to have some similar interests, but they're going to be completely different. So like one kid maybe have barely any rules, and this other kid needs to be taught everything. So it just shows you so many pieces, I
Oh
guess.
my gosh, this is so cool. So then you have the two at the bottom, and both of ours are defined with both the channels, I think,
Yeah.
open. I don't know what that
Roots.
means.
So those are your roots. The
Thank you.
bottom one, the box at the bottom
Okay.
are roots. And that's kind of where you feel grounded. So that's your pressure center to get going and get things done. So kids that have open roots, they're going to feel like pressure to get up and go do something. I got to go do something. I got to go do something. Those are the kids who might be hopping out of their chair. Like I'm going to run over to the sink for some reason, or I just have to go throw this away. Like I have to be doing something. And they have no idea what they're supposed to be doing, but they have this pressure, and they could be feeling like the teacher maybe is like, oh crap, I only have 10 minutes to finish this topic. And then I have PE coming up, so I got to hurry. And that kid is feeling that pressure from that teacher and amplifying his or her pressure. So it's like these kids, if they understand what this is coming from, and the teachers understand that too, they can figure out why is this kid out of the blue acting like this? Like,
Right.
what?
Wow. Okay. So that, just takes it to a whole new level. Wow. There are so many things that we could talk about. And again, one of the things I'm trying to do, and we talked about this in the beginning, is I'm trying not to get too deep and but this is layers upon layers upon layers of information.
Yes.
I asked you for some people that you took your training from, or books to read, or anything like that would help someone. But I think the number one thing is to find someone that could read your chart.
Yeah. And if you live in a town that doesn't have a lot of services or whatever, the place I did my training, they have a website with all the specialists that have taken their trainings there. So all the levels, there's like 4 levels. So you can be a level 1, 2, 3, or 4, and they're all on there. So you can just click like, I want to try out a basic or something, or I want to go to a deeper one and get this. So there's all those levels that you can reach on there if you don't know who to go to.
You're a 4.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
The most amount of training, which is incredible.
Yeah.
So are you talking about Karen Curry Parker's
Yes.
Quantum Human Design System, that website? We can put that website on the show notes, but I also want to make sure we put your website on the show notes. What is your website for them to find you?
Mine is the Remedy HD. No, wait, what is my website? Yeah, the remedYHD.com.
www.theremedyd, and that stands for humandesign.com.
Yep. Yes.
Perfect. What else do you think we should know about human design before we ask you our closing question?
I would say to just step into it as an experience and be open.
Well, I am thrilled. And obviously, we're going to have to get back together and have you do a reading for us, just in a lot more detail, just for Teal, so that I can go in and talk to her school and her teachers more effectively. I'm really excited about that. It gives me, I'm that woo-woo parent, right? Who I'm like, oh, have you been using crystals in the room to balance the energy?
And all that's in the chart too. Your woo-woo-ness is in the chart. Like you can see where that comes from.
You can? Where is it? Yes. I'm just curious. Where is it? Come on.
Well, your open spleen, for example, is part of it. So that's where you get your medical empathist. That's where, and your open head and ajna, that's your knowingness. You hear, you get messages. And what else is there? Yeah, there's so many. I mean, there's a lot of different places, different circuits you can have, and different gates and different.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Oh, this is so fun. And parents can learn about how they can be better parents by looking at this, how like fear zones. Oh my gosh, this is so very cool. We are just scratching the surface. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed this time. Thank you so much, Kaydee, for reaching out to me and just opening our world to a whole nother tool to help us be more productive and happier and satisfied. I think such a good overview.
Ooh. I love that you just said satisfied too, because we didn't talk about this, but emotional themes for generators and manifesting generators are satisfaction and frustration. So if you're on track and things are going good for you, and you're going to get a feeling of satisfaction. And if it's not the way it should be, you're going to get a feeling of frustration, or if your flow is interrupted, kind of, you'll feel frustrated.
Oh, yeah. Talk to my husband. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's so true. And Teal's the same way. When she is not happy, she doesn't really show like anger. She shows frustration. Like she gets really frustrated.
Yeah. So like in school, if she's getting frustrated, like she's probably struggling with something, maybe she needs a few more minutes to figure it out. Don't take it away from her yet. Let her have a couple more minutes doing what she's doing. Why does it have to stop? Or why can't she just finish up this little thing? It'll avoid that. Then no more meltdowns, no more screaming or whatever.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. Her aide just came out yesterday and said, she just is having more time. She's getting things done. It's really good. And she likes completing a project. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And sometimes it takes her a little bit longer. But that's okay.
Well, generator, that's the difference also. Generators like build to perfection. So she wants it done right. And like manifesting generators, they want to get it done quickly. So you're going to hurry, and you might miss a couple little things here and there and just go back and tweak it later. So there, yeah.
Oh my gosh, the poor kid, because she's the one who wants to get it right. Oh, yes. Her dad must be a pure generator. I bet we should pull his chart. Woo, boy. Because yeah, I'm the one who's like, enough already, let's go. And they're both like, it's not done. Come on, we need to. Oh my God, this is fantastic. Oh, so she's going to be the one that cleans the house really slowly because she wants it perfect, just like my husband. Me, I'm like, that's good enough. I'll clean it next time. Yeah. So okay. Oh, too much information. Yes. Okay. What would the other themes be?
The manifester had anger and peace. So, and then the projector is bitterness and success. The reflector is surprise and disappointment.
Well, your wealth of knowledge is amazing. Well, I'm going to ask you one final question, and that is, what is one word that you would use to describe a child with special needs?
Pure, because then that could be the beginning to a lot of different things. You're like pure love, pure joy, pure happiness, pure heart, pure everything.
It's true. Yeah. Well, I think that's my message for the week then, to just be pure. Be pure.
Yeah, purify.
Kaydee, thank you so much. How can people reach you outside of www.theremedyyhd.com?
Our email is lookwithlove@theremedyyhd.com.
All right. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you very, very much for taking time. And I do want to get on your calendar to learn more about Teal, selfishly.
Yes.
Have a good one.
Thanks. You too.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you found one or two meaningful nuggets of information to make your day better. If you think there's value in what we do, please take a moment to tell another friend, family member, or a caregiver. We'd love to hear from you at forourspecialkids@gmail.com. You can send in a question, a comment, a topic that you'd like to learn more about, or if you'd like us to highlight a certain person, please send that information to us. It makes our show so much better and so much more valuable for you. Our Facebook and Instagram handle is For Our Special Kids. And finally, remember to witness the wonder and the wisdom within yourself and others. Until next time.